In today's video, I have something that is fairly special for you guys, being that this is a 3D print related video that has nothing to do with Bambu Lab. Hey guys, my name is Sam and welcome back to Samcraft. So the reason I say nothing to do with Bambu Lab is that if you have followed me along my 3D print journey, it has been nothing but Bambu Lab machines. That's what I started with, that's what I've grown my business with, and that's what I have used up until now. What you see over my shoulder are 4 FlashForge 3D printers. 2 of them are the AD5M Pro and 2 are the regular AD5M 3D printers. Full disclaimer, these were sent by FlashForge. When they reached out, they wanted me to do a video on one, and I said, hold up, if I'm really going to be interested and look at your machines, I need a couple and I want to run them in my print farm environment because that's what I do and that's what kind of content I would like to make. Thankfully they said yes, because here we are about 2 months down the road with several hundred hours of print time on each of these models, and I've got my video to present to you. I'm going to be showing you guys the initial setup of this area, assembly and unboxing and all that of the machines, and then talk about my experiences having used them for about 2 months and putting a couple of hundred hours with a print job on each one. All right guys, the easiest way for me to show you this is let's just go ahead and go through the unboxing and assembly of one of these printers. This is the FlashForge Adventurer 5M. So this is not the Pro model. This is the other one, the more open frame design. The one that is visually similar to other Core XY 3D printers out there on the market. And I've already done one of each of these models as far as assembly, so I know what I'm doing. That way you can kind of get a better idea of what to really expect. Honestly though, there's not a lot of learning curve. These guys are easy to assemble and unbox and really are a piece of cake. Piece of cake to get it out of the box. And as you can see, everything, honestly, is in this little printer's cube. I mean, look at that. You can't deal with that with every other printer. So let's go ahead and take the stuff out of the top. We're gonna take our wire and our Bowden tube away. Get out the little piece of filament. Here we have our touchscreen LCD display, power cord. Then you want to take out the packaging block from the back right here. What that's going to allow you to do is take the extruder assembly and pull it towards the rear of the machine. Then you're able to pull this back and straight out it goes. After that, you can take off your little bumper on the front, remove the tool and accessory kit, and you're done. It's unboxed. Next thing we will do is to attach our LCD screen. And in your book, there are instructions on how to orient this and how to make sure you put the ribbon connector in correctly. And then also, when you go to attach it to the printer itself, your USB port is on the right hand of the machine as you're looking at it, and it clips in and slides to the left to lock in place. So on this ribbon connection, you got one side that is labeled LCD and the other side is exposed. You want LCD facing towards the top of the screen. So you just push it into your little connector and then you fold it down and you're good to go. So once again, the LCD label is right here. My finger's pointing to it, and so that's eventually going to face up. As far as slotting it in, you put it right there at the corner, slide it to the left, and you're done. Here on the back of the machine is where you can see there's a filament runout detector. You've got your leading PTFE tube coming in, and then you have this one up top. You want to push it into your top connector. Just push, and that's done. Do not put this tube into your extruder at this point. Wait until you actually load your filament. So for now, you are done up here. What we're going to do is attach the filament spool holder. It goes right here. You've got a white sticker with 2 yellow arrows. Filament spool holder is in place. So the next thing we will do is spin this guy around to the front. I want to remove the build plate so I don't scratch it up. And using the Allen wrench, you have 4 screws in here you need to remove to release the build plate from the machine. You basically have a screw at each area, so right, left, back, and back. Wherever you have your linear slide rails, the stainless steel rods, there's a little green arrow near it pointing to where you need to remove a screw. Here in a second, whenever I take you through the assembly of the AD5M Pro, you're going to see how this procedure with these back screws is a lot more difficult, because honestly, you can't really see them very well, and they're a lot difficult to get to, especially compared to being able to just reach into the side of the machine here, get your big old sausage fingers back there, and try and get this guy out. All right, there we go, guys. Unboxing and assembly is done. You've got your screen, you've got your shipping screws, you have your tube to connect here, and your spool hurler on the back. That is it. This little dude is now ready to go over to the shelf, get plugged up with the power cord, and go ahead and load up some filament and start calibration. Piece of cake, right? Because it is. A little bit bigger box with this one. This is the AD5M Pro. A little more weight to the box overall, but that's to be expected, right? Because there's a couple of more goodies built in with this printer. So as you guys are able to clearly see, this is a fully enclosed model, which you probably already know if you've done your research. But if not, this is fully enclosed. So you've got a lid on the top. This is a hinged lid, which is nice. You're able to fling it back. It doesn't get lost. You don't have to worry about a plate of glass to move somewhere else. And then here on the front, you've got a plastic door that is tinted, but it also has magnets to help it hold closed. So that's cool. All right, all the tape and protective film is pulled off. So just like with the other one, we're gonna remove the packing material out of the top first. There's this same block of foam right back here. Take that out. Then move your extruder assembly backwards, because it's going to then free up this chunk of foam. With this machine, you get a little spool of filament, maybe 250 grams. Let's see what it says. Yeah, 250 grams, so that's nice. You have your power cord up here as well. And then, don't miss this part, in this block of foam with the Pro, down here, you've got a USB flash drive, that little guy, and an extra hot end or nozzle assembly, this guy. That's very easy to miss. It's here deep in the top pocket of this foam. Otherwise, you're good once you get that out. We can take out our box of tools and accessories, remove the foam pad, and then again, I like to remove the build plates just to keep it nice and clean, because we now have those same 4 screws back there to remove. And since this is enclosed, the 2 at the very back are going to be difficult. Again, for sausage finger Sam at least. So for these back 2 screws, I find it's easier to tilt the machine forward, open the lid, holding it with one hand, and then do these from the top where I can actually see what's going on down there, because otherwise they are not visible from the front. And well, my head and arm won't fit inside through the front door. Everything's removed, the screws are out, so we can turn this guy around. Go ahead and install our filament holder, which is on the left side of it as you're looking at the back. The other model had it on the right. And then from here, there's no tube to connect because it's pre-connected. All you have is this PTFE tube hanging out the top, and that's where you fish your filament into when loading it. Here at the back of the machine, this is where you connect the power cord. This is the power switch. And then right here is actually an Ethernet port. This is also nice if you don't want to have this guy sitting on your Wi-Fi and you want a direct connection or any other use. I like that. Maybe it's an antiquated theory, maybe it's not something that's going to stick around long term with 3D printing, but I do like this. Even though I'm going to use Wi-Fi, I like it. On the other hand, what I do not like is the location of this power switch. Right there at the dead center behind the machine. Talk about difficult to reach whenever you need to do resets or turn the machine off and on as you work. I also don't like the filament spool holder being on the back, but FlashForge is not the only one guilty of this cardinal sin. That's okay though. I already got solutions in place, which I'll show you guys in more detail here in a minute, that honestly makes this obsolete for me. All right, I told you guys something a little bit wrong on the other one, and I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Go ahead and stick your PTFE tube into the top of your extruder, because when you power on the machine, it's going to automatically home, which is at the back right corner of the machine as you're looking at it from the front. And if this tube is hanging over, it'll grind gears, and you're not going to want that. So go ahead, put it in place. Just know that when you go to load your filament, you may need to pull this out and push it through. But then also when you change filament, you pull this out, you cut it, and then feed it through as well. So you do have to remove this every once in a while, but just know that it is just a friction fit. It doesn't lock in your PTFE tube like other areas of the machines or other printers you may be used to. A happy little sound. 4 pretty little FlashForge printers all in a row, almost ready to go. What I need to do next though is address my current lack of filament storage. These machines by default have filament holders on the back. Horrible for anyone with this kind of setup. If you got one on your desk, sure, probably works okay, but it's not going to work for me. I do have a solution though, so let's go ahead and put that into place. So what I have here is a rack-mounted spool holder designed by my friend. I'll put a link to this model to his website down below. This is one that I really like. It is very strong, it is robust, and for me, someone who uses the muscle racks or the cobalt shelving or even the husky shelving for printers like this is perfect. So as you can see, it fits perfect on the muscle rack right here at the FlashForge. But going over here to my Lowe's cobalt rack, you can also see that it fits perfectly right here on the front, and even if you want, it'll fit on the back. So a very nice solution, especially for me. Right here up front for the FlashForge puts the filament where I want it for my print farm usage. Now what I need to do is give myself some PTFE tube extensions and bring them from their default short little pieces at the back all the way up front, so that the filament doesn't get abraded, caught, or messed up as it travels from the front to the back. So here's a little update on this rack-mounted spool holder. I talked to my friend who designed this, kind of showed him some pictures of my cobbled together system, and once he stopped screaming, he went ahead and designed a version of this for me that has a hole straight through right here that I can attach the PTFE tube on this end and then feed my filament through, so I don't literally have his creation duct taped here on my shelf. So I'm happy because that gets me what I want, and I think he's happy because it keeps his baby from looking horribly cobbled together. So win-win, right? So I've got my tube right here, and the way he designed this is that it is a tight fit, so we don't need any extra hardware or anything like that. It is just literally print it and put it together. But I've got a pair of pliers because I found that it's easy to kink or bend this PTFE tube, but using a little bit of pliers right here to help feed it in definitely helps. And it doesn't have to go all the way, but just enough so that it clamps, or rather grips inside the holder is really all you need. Now, if you have a ton of tubing, sure, push it all the way through till you see it on this end. That will probably help you on loading up your filament, because sometimes as you pull it through, you've got to push it through the hole and then into the tube. So it may take a little bit of back and forth, but honestly, compared to what I had with the tape, this is cool. But also, it not needing any hardware is what is really cool. Now what I want to do is I want to talk about the pros and cons of the FlashForge machines between the two models. So let's compare the Pro to the non-Pro. With the exception of the enclosure and the added benefits you have of the Pro model having the enclosure and the filter, honestly, the two machines I feel like are identical. They probably are. And so if you don't need an enclosed printer, if you're only going to be printing with PLA, PETG, filaments that are fine being open, then I would say get the AD5M. Don't spend the extra money for the Pro. At the same time, there are benefits and features of having the enclosed printer, even if you don't need it for your filament reasons. Case number one is in an area where you want as quiet a printer as possible. Closing it up in a box definitely makes it quieter. Case number two would be in an area that may not be as clean and dust-free as you would like. Having it closed up keeps your print plate and your printer internals nice and clean, compared to the open frame. Other things that put you in the Pro of the Pro model are better interior lighting, as in it has lights and the other one doesn't, and a camera as well. AD5M Pros have the built-in camera, AD5M, nothing. Now these may not be big deals for you, or they may be things that you're like, okay, I like this, I want that, let's go Pro. But those are the main differences that I have found between running these two in my situation. Now let's do a little bit of unfair comparison, comparing the FlashForge models to my Bambu Lab models. And in this case, I'm going to compare them to the Bambu Lab A1s with AMS combo, not the other high model Bambu printers I have in my shop, because I run the A1s primarily for business, and these guys were vetted or to be tested side by side for business use as well. So this is going to be a lopsided result because there are just some hard line differences between the A1 and the FlashForge. First one being print size or plate size. The Bambu A1s are larger at their 256 cubic build area, whereas the FlashForges are really more around the 226 size. What you're going to see online versus what you actually get out of the software are two different numbers. I was able to adjust my slicing settings to give me a square working size of 226 by 226, but that's not what you get default. So there is a difference in print size. Does it make a big difference? I can't say for you. For me, it did, until I was able to hack the system and get a larger print size to where I could fit 4 of my products on a single plate on the FlashForge, like I'm used to doing with my A1s. The second comparison is quite obvious, and that is the fact that the FlashForge machines do not have multicolor print functions, whereas the A1s, you can get your AMS light combo and have the multicolor print, or in my case, what I really like, multiple spool auto refill functionality in our printer. There is a FlashForge model, the AD5X, that is multicolor, multi-spool, but it's not what I have here to show you today. So if that is something that is a requirement for you, I would point you towards looking at the different model. Maybe there is even a new one coming out in the next couple of months. I honestly don't know, but definitely look at that because that is a big difference between the two. I was okay going ahead with this partnership with FlashForge because I have several products that are not multicolor. I don't need the multicolor for, and I knew that if nothing else, these machines could just run that and we would be good. And they have done great at that. Perfect. So while the multicolor is, I guess, an apples to oranges comparison, it would be the number 2 thing that I consider a pretty strong thing to consider between the two models. So in the end, if those are not a factor for you, these are the same machine, ultimately. Well guys, this is going to be it for my first video showing the FlashForge machines, getting it set up in my shop, and then comparing it to my existing A1 business machines to give you some idea to know what the differences between the two are. There will be links to the machines down below in the video description, as well as other links to other things that I use or will have shown in this video. There's also going to be links to my friend's channel and video where you can get these spool holders if you're looking for them. These are super handy. They make this so much easier with the FlashForge. It allows me to cram them in there tight. I can visually check my filament levels at an easy glance. I can refill them very easily, but these spool holders also work across all the metal shelves in my shop, and I'm working on converting over the Bambu Labs as I can as well. Either way, I appreciate you guys watching as always. If you got any questions or comments, leave them for me down below. Otherwise, take care, and I'll see you guys next time in the workshop.